Hello and welcome to Winning at Home. I'm John. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Suzanne. And well, our hope with this podcast is to encourage and equip the amazing IndyCar Series community as we pursue thriving marriages and family lives, even with the unique challenges of life on the road. All right, so welcome. Let me bring my wife in here so you can actually see her pretty face. There you are. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Sounded like Dave Calabro back there.
I did sound. You know what? I do feel like Dave Calabro when we do this. I don't know. Now that he's retired, he's probably
fancy.
Have you seen Dave lately? I think he's kind of like Dave Letterman. It's like he's growing some facial hair a little bit.
Is he grown a beard, a retirement beard?
I don't know if Dave can grow a retirement beard. Letterman can, but I don't know. I'm not sure about Calabro. But anyway, welcome to Winning at Home. If you are just joining us for the first time, this is our second episode, so you haven't missed much. But on our first episode, we had Jason and Kelly Holt here from IndyCar Ministry and had a great conversation. The whole point of this podcast really is to try to encourage those couples who are in the IndyCar Series and in the motorsports community. Suzanne and I have been married for 36 years.
Yes, 36.
That's a long time to work for one woman.
Long time.
But no, we've been married for 36 years, and I have traveled for a majority of that career. My first career was in the music business and then the marketing world, and started working in racing about 5 years ago, 21 years ago, somewhere.
25.
Yeah, I worked for Speedway Motorsports first at Texas Motor Speedway, and then we moved to Indianapolis, Indiana in 2004 timeframe, and worked for the series for a number of years, and then did some team things, and thought I was out of IndyCar racing, and then had a marketing client about 4 years ago that drugged me back in.
Yeah, you think you're out, and they pull you back.
They do pull you back in. So, but we love IndyCar Ministry. We love what Jason and Kelly and all the team does. And I went to Jason. We are financial supporters of the ministry, or partners, as they like to say. And I said, Suzanne and I, we led a couples Bible study for a number of years, young couples. And I said, I really have a heart for the couples and how hard it is in the IndyCar Series to travel. And he said, let's pray about it. And so we've been praying for all the couples in the series. And he came up to us and asked us to do a podcast and just to get to know some folks on the road and try to share some things that work, and just get to know some of the other couples who are going along this. Because if you are in the IndyCar Series, and right now we're recording this between 4 races.
Yeah.
We went from Mid-Ohio to Iowa, and then headed to, some of us are headed up to Toronto tomorrow. And just... you're not alone in this. And so tonight we are so excited that we're going to welcome Richie and Britney Best. Richie is the client logistics manager at Andretti Global and over the day-to-day operation of the team's hospitality department. Let me bring them on so we can actually see them. There they are. Hey, Richie and Britney. I need to unmute them. Hold on real quick. Yeah, our producer here is really an amateur.
Our producer has often been threatened to be fired.
Yes, we've been wanting to fire a producer for some time.
Yeah.
But can you guys hear us okay?
Yes.
Hey.
I'm clear.
Good.
Thanks for having us on.
No, so glad you guys are here. So if you've spent any time around the paddock, you cannot miss the Andretti hospitality area. I know you have 2 different setups, but they have like 50 golf carts and like 30 scooters and 10 kitchens and red carpet that goes about a mile long. You guys have a landing pad on top of that thing for Dan Towers to land his helicopter on. Maybe that's not that true, but you
don't give any more ideas.
Yeah, that is a really good idea, actually. But Richie, you and Britney are involved in IndyCar Ministry, and I'm just super excited to get to know you guys. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're thrilled to share our story and have a chat with you guys as well.
Well, it's so good to be home for an evening, and for you to sacrifice an evening. Yeah, an evening. So this week you're leaving on Thursday. That's kind of a luxury, so that's kind of nice.
It is something I'm not normally used to.
I know. So tell us real quick about the Richie and Britney story. I mean, give us your love story. I kind of want to know how you guys met, where you met, how long you've been married, all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, thank God for social media. So ironically enough, in 2014, we both, we won't go back to the sappy stories, but we both had been married and divorced. I was traveling, I've been in, for Andretti Global, always been in hospitality since day one. And I started there in 2013. And we were, kind of in the midst of traveling that summer of June 2014. and we were in Texas Motor Speedway. And if I recall correctly, we came home for a week, and then we went back to Texas to pick up all the equipment. And we stayed in a hotel one night in Texas before we had our departure to Houston, then on to Pocono. And I don't know, like a lot of people, I think some people do, but every morning I wake up, grab my phone, kind of see what the highlights are for what happened the night before, check out Facebook, and there's a section that's called "People You May Know." And so I'm scrolling through "People May I Know," and there was this smile that just caught my attention. And my roommate at the time for that night, I was like, "Wow, look at this girl! I've never seen her before, but she knows 5 people that I know." So gutsy me. That's just kind of my personality. What I see, what I want, I try to go after as best I can. So I tried not to creepishly send her a message, but I
You tried
did.
not to be creepy.
It wasn't that bad. After forethought, it wasn't
It
bad.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah. So I sent her a message like, "Hey, some people I know. I've never seen you before. Your smile kind of caught my attention. Um, if you're single, if you're not, blah blah blah. You know, if you're interested, kind of. I'm definitely giving the shortened version for sure, but
I blew him off a little bit
yeah.
for a while because I was like, this weirdo.
So we departed out of Texas, went to Houston, and then I didn't know that she was a nurse. So it was
Nice.
all day before she replied back. And I'm like, oh, she totally blew me off. There's no way she's gonna reply back. So I was like, okay, I didn't think any more about it. Then that night when she got home, she replied back. She's like, oh, that was a sweet message, blah, blah, blah. And I think what was kind of nice about it was that I wasn't home. So for the next 2 weeks, we got to talk and communicate on the road. Got to know each other a little bit. And then, so we, through the whole week of Houston, we would talk. And, at the time, she had 2 young boys as a single parent. I had a daughter back in Indy, went to Pocono. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to be in town for one night next week in between Pocono and Iowa. I said, would you be able to meet for dinner? And so we did. On a Tuesday night, we met. I think it was July 7th, 2014.
Yeah.
I picked her up at her house. Ironically enough, she had a late dismissal, so she didn't get to her house until like 8. So it ended up being a late night anyways. And, I had to get up at 5 in the morning to go to Iowa to start driving and, doing the whole setup. And we went to dinner and, I think it was love at first sight, more or less. It
That's
was the
awesome.
smile. And then, we had kind of talked, some silly stuff. And I forget how the whole conversation, it was something about a white unicorn and
Yeah.
Swedish fish. And I brought some Swedish fish. I
I
don't know.
we moved in together, I think 6 months later.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that
No,
soon.
it was. It was like 6 months later. We blended our family.
Oh yeah, well, I guess
Yeah.
it was February, 2015. Yeah. So, and then I was gone for 2 more weeks after that. So like the foundation was there. It wasn't like, it was in and out and, so I think that's kind of really got us started, just, even to this day, communicating, over text and just being, remote and traveling. And so,
Well, and I mean, that's how our relationship started
yeah.
with him being on the road.
Yeah.
So.
And candidly, I said, you know, I don't know, you probably know Wad, right? Everybody knows
Mm-hmm.
Wad, right? And he when I first met him, he told me one thing that still stands true to this day. He goes, this is the hardest industry to get in. It's the hardest to get out. So it's true today. So.
That is true. So you guys have been a family for 10 years.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. I mean, you guys moved
About
in together
11
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got married and we tried to get married in COVID 2020.
Yeah.
So before that, we had both agreed after like our third or fourth date, we had both agreed we were going to be companions for life.
We weren't gonna get married.
And we shook on it.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, yeah, it was 6 months later. She's like, hey, do you remember that conversation we had about being companions for life? I was like, yeah. She's like, I take it back.
So was that her
And I'm
proposal
like,
to you?
yeah.
I was like, I take it back. I don't want to say that.
Yeah. So it took a long time,
7 years.
Yeah. The kids, so we have a blended family. And
Yeah.
so the kids started asking, like, hey, why aren't you guys getting married? And, and I didn't do it for the kids. I think Brittany is my soulmate, and I love
Mm-hmm.
Brittany genuinely. And I felt like I had to wait for the right time. Like we were young when we first got married before, right? And wasn't trying to go down that route again, right? So
We
How
just
young were
wanted
you
it to
when you
be.
got married?
The
I
first
married
The
time.
my
first time, yeah.
high school sweetheart. I married my high school sweetheart, and I was 23 when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Now,
were 23.
yep. So I worked
It's
for
young.
her parents. Yeah, I worked for her parents. So it was kind of like it was not pushed, but it was just to be expected that I worked for the
Yeah.
family business. You would expect you to get married and start having
Yep.
kids, and so
Well, Suzanne and I mean, we've been married 36 years, but we always talk about our first marriage and our second marriage because we almost got a divorce at 10 years. I mean, we did. It was because we got married when we were 23, 22 years of age. And you try to
We
figure
were
everything out.
stupid.
We were stupid. We were poor. We didn't know what we were doing. And looking back on it, I don't know why we were able to survive and other couples weren't, at that time, because I think it's harder sometimes it's in some situations, it's easier to walk away and rebuild your life and all that kind of stuff. I know that's painful. I can't, I haven't gone through that path that you guys have, but then it's just as hard to try to break down all the walls and go through the marriage counseling. We went through 4 different marriage counselors.
Man, we wore them out.
Yeah, we wore them out. We went through 4 different marriage counselors, and God did perform a miracle in our marriage. And so, but we always talk about that first marriage, second marriage, because you do learn a lot, and you do have things, and you have blessings from, I always say to the kids, well, I always tell people, because I lie about my age often, and will tell everybody that the kids are from my wife's first marriage, because it's true, they are from your first marriage. Just I'm still your husband, but anyway. So okay, talk to me about how did you guys get connected? Well, talk about your job real quick, Richie, just so I understand it. So did I describe it correctly? I mean, you run the hospitality operations and all the client logistics and all that. I mean, you guys have hundreds and hundreds of guests. So
yeah, we do. So yeah, I took over managing hospitality in 2016. So I got my start driving Michael Andretti's bus for him,
mm-hmm.
and then we had dual roles. So I did the bus and then did hospitality, and then in the end of the 2015 season, they're like, "Hey, we want to bump you up," and then it progressively changed because I mean, as you know, you're always trying to elevate the bar, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to get that, client experience and, try to get that premier experience. So, so I handle the day-to-day operations, and that consists and wear many hats just like everybody else. But I contact all the racetracks and reserve our footprint that we need for that required weekend. If any kind of client has any kind of special requests, I get the rental golf carts, reserve the driver bus lot. I'm oversee
Everything
our
with the
show
client.
car program here.
No,
What's
everything with
that?
the track. Everything with the track. You're doing the motor coaches. You're doing the
Oh yeah,
hospitality. You're doing
yeah,
golf cart passes. Everything. And then,
yep.
so
And
I
then
have to ask you.
I
So, like
go
in Iowa this
over.
past
Go
weekend, you had the big baby. You had the big display, or the big
Yeah,
hospitality area over in turn 1. It looked awesome. But when you're putting your plans together, I
yep.
know you have the smaller unit that takes much less time to put up. Are there certain tracks where you're like, I think we just don't need that big one? I mean, how do you decide all that? Is that
Yeah,
people upstairs?
yeah, yeah. It is. It's a logistical thing too. A lot of ovals don't allow us to have the 2-story inside the track.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with how we can make it best, right? So this weekend, Gamebridge and Delaware Life had a big activation in Des Moines. So it was kind of like
Got it.
the end of their week, what Delaware Life's sponsorship is and Gamebridge, and so some of their employees can understand what the motorsports side of their sponsorship is. So at the beginning of the year, we try to go through a list of like, okay, where would be good here, how many guests here, more of the premium spots like Long Beach and obviously Indy. So
Well, it's always, I love, you guys do such great work. I mean, you really do. Everywhere you go, it's great to see. Oh, did we lose her? Did I offend your wife? Did she walk away?
yeah, she did. The baby's crying.
Oh, that's good. That babies take priority over podcast. So it's funny
Yeah.
because you guys do such a great job everywhere you go. And, we're on the other end of the spectrum with a client that sometimes likes to have hospitality, and we partner with Davey Hamilton, and it may not be much. It's the old school hospitality with just the one transporter and the awning. But then I look at the number of trucks that you're coordinating, like 16, 17 trucks, and it's unbelievable. But then you do see your clients, and you see all your employees, and you see it's just such a first class operation. So you should be proud of what you do every day.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that nobody really gets to see. And yeah, that two-story structure we have is 11 trucks, so it's orchestrated. There's a lot of planning, and like we had uh, 2.0, what we call it, in
Hmm.
Iowa, and then we have 1.0 in Toronto. So we there's prep work that has to happen to make it all be orchestrated perfectly, so we're not forgetting something. So we're in Toronto, we're like, oh my gosh, it's in Iowa, right? So we
Yeah.
probably need to get a charger.
Okay.
Oh, so it didn't
Sorry.
die. Yeah. No. So,
Yeah.
I think that happened last week, didn't it?
do the team guys? It's funny because you're on the commercial side of the business. I mean, you're doing all the client service stuff and all the fun stuff as they see it. What's the relationship with, like, the I think of Brian Brown on the 27 car, like guys who are turning wrenches? Do they think you have the best job in the whole paddock? Or they give you a hard time, or do they realize how much work you actually have to put into this thing?
I think it's it could be both sides. Obviously we feed them, so they
Yeah.
don't want to, bite the hand that feeds her, right? Too, right? But they respect the fact that it's not an easy job. Like they have hard jobs too, but in hospitality, you have to be on point all the time. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter, if it's a person that won, a giveaway to come in, or it's a CEO, or somebody's always asking for something, so you have to be on point at all times. And they're very respectful of what we do for them, and so I appreciate that.
And a
And
lot of
when
times
I first
you're there
started,
early. Yeah, you're there before they
uh,
are, and you're there after they leave.
yeah, oh yeah, and that's even throughout the week, right? My guys got to Toronto. My first group got there Monday, and my trucks got there on Tuesday, and then we come in, and everything's set up, ready to go, and then they'll help us. Sometimes some tracks, when we're pinched for time, some guys will come over and help us tear down, so they understand that. And I've had about 10 guys. We use hospitality as like your foot in the door.
Hmm.
We kind of bring you in to recruit you, and then we train you and kind of get the Andretti way. And then I've had a lot of guys jump over to the team side to do team trucky, or the dampers, or so we kind of use that as like a growing pattern as well.
That's great. So, Brittany, now that you're back after taking care of the baby, tell us what is a
Sweet
race
baby.
week? Yeah, what does a race week
You
look
gotta
like
give
for
us.
you? Yeah, I mean, like when Richie hops on the plane or hops in the
Um,
truck and goes, what's race week look like for you?
well, I typically am working Monday through Thursday, so I do that, and I'm home with the baby working. So that's been a little challenging. But basically, it's just the kids and I making dinner, and we try to keep ourselves busy. We do travel to a lot of the races, so we just try to be together as a family.
Yeah, I try to go more, you know,
Well, for all the
more
local
than
ones,
not.
yeah, if she can drive,
If I
to
can
Mid
drive
Ohio, if
it,
you
then
can
I'll
drive
go.
to, yeah, we love Road America. I
Yeah,
know you guys probably love Road America. There are certain ones that
yeah,
are
that
just great
one's
for
are the
families.
kids'
It's super
favorite.
fun.
We love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
So,
I mean, we spend a lot of time with my parents, and we just kind of hang around the pool, especially right now. We spent the whole last weekend at the pool, sending dad pictures.
And you should. And you should be
Yeah.
at the pool every
yeah,
day.
I love the racing
Yeah.
in Iowa, but I would tell you a pool is probably better than the cornfields of Iowa.
The sweating corn.
Yeah, it was a little warm, but it was actually like 20 degrees cooler than it was the previous year, so it wasn't as bad as it had been. So, talk about just tell us a little bit about how you guys got connected to IndyCar Ministry. Let me know. I'd love to know that story. How did you guys first get connected?
You may need more time.
No.
Well, that's
So
fine.
so unfortunately, how we got connected with IndyCar Ministry was on a bad note. I had seen Jason in the paddock, from afar, and you have this intuition. You see him from afar, and you're like, I'm going to get to know him at some point in my course of this whole life. And I didn't realize we would go through is the reason why we met Jason in IndyCar Ministry. So, um, after we got married in 2021, on our honeymoon, we had decided either we were going to have our own child, or we were not going to have any children together. And we had decided we were going to. And so we started trying. And then we got pregnant
That's the fun part,
May.
by the way. Keep going.
Hmm.
Yeah. We got May of 2022.
Hmm.
We were, obviously elated.
Hmm.
And we were coming out of COVID a little bit. And so you're kind of a little cautious. You hear things. And then, um, you know,
Pregnancy went really well.
Yeah.
Everything was going really good.
And we had a little bit of a maybe kind of a hiccup, I guess, more or less in November that um, Edith, she had kind of didn't grow on pace, and then but there was no alarms. The doctor wasn't alarmed. Nothing was alarmed. Um, so we just kind of stayed on course, and you trust in your doctors. And right after Christmas of 2022, Brittany started having complications a little bit. Didn't feel very well, and so we were like, okay, this keeps up. We need to do something. We need to go get you checked out, right? So the night of the December 27th, Brittany's like, I think we're getting ready to have this baby.
I was having
Contractions,
contractions.
yeah. And so she woke me up at 1 a.m.
I was 37 weeks. So
Yep.
we were at a good, I mean, we thought we're like, okay, we're going to have a baby today.
And
Wow.
so we got our overnight bags and we got in the car, and we're going at a good rate of speed going to the hospital, and we're happy, like we're skipping, and I'm starting to do like a video, like walking in, like, hey, it's December 28th, it's 1 a.m., like we're gonna meet our baby today. And well, just kind of keeping a vlog, right? And so we go in and get her checked out. They check her vitals, and you know they put the Doppler on her belly. And the first Doppler, they're like, oh, it probably doesn't work. Well, they didn't find a heartbeat, right? And I kind of raised an eyebrow. I'm like, that, you get chills, right? And then they bring a second one, and then they bring a third one, just trying to, right? Like they don't want to be the burden of bad news. And I'm like, you're starting to add up, like, okay, something's not right here. And then they bring in an ultrasound, and then the doctor on call, they came in and they did an ultrasound. And I was sitting out of the bed and holding Brittany's hand, and the doctor took the ultrasound and scanned over her belly. And as you've seen quite a bit of ultrasounds, you would know, right? And then
Yep.
saw the figure of the baby. They didn't see the heartbeat, and then she quickly scanned over it, and then she went back over it again. And then she just, you could tell it just took everything out of her to turn and look and say, I am so sorry. And those words will always, that vision will always be stuck with me for the rest of my life. But uh, like we broke down. It was a dark moment in our lives. Um, yeah, I turned to look at Brittany, and I don't know what made me say it. I don't know, God put it in me or whatever. I held her hand. And I said, "Babe, this isn't going to define us. Like we're going to get through this. This is like the low of the lowest. Like I don't know why this is happening." We were just so shocked and stunned, and like like what you start running, like what ifs, like what should we done better. But
Yeah.
it wasn't even that. It was just
And we had just heard her heartbeat the day before.
Oh,
So we
jeez.
knew that everything was fine the day before. Um, it was obviously I was in labor. So I ended up giving birth to her, and she was 4 pounds 1 ounce. Her name was Edith Everly.
Oh, I love
And
that.
we lost her stillborn at 37 weeks.
yeah.
So that's when we
So
got connected.
yeah, and then you start
And
the
what time of the year
outreach.
was this? Was this during the season?
This
No,
was
December.
December.
Okay.
It was right after Christmas.
Yeah. So right before, like for us, like everybody else, January 1st, everything ramps up, right? You're like counting down the days to September for the kickoff, make sure all your ducks are in a row, right? And I mean, it it was the worst time to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a premium time for me. And so you reach out to the small people that and like, hey, look, like we just lost our child. And then
Well, just the small, I mean, IndyCar is a large but small community. So it's
well, yeah,
everyone
but I
was,
was talking about
yeah,
getting to Jason, though. It's
yeah,
like how Jason got connected with us. And um I think John Walters
yeah,
connected to your mom, and then your mom called Jason Holt and
yeah.
was like, hey, look, like,
But at
can
37
you
weeks, I mean, you hear the heartbeat the day before. You guys go through this tremendous loss. And then
I can't even imagine.
I know you can't imagine, but like at that point, you're sitting there. Nobody understands that. They don't know what to say to you. They don't know how to handle
No.
this. They don't know how to. I mean, and just everything you're going through.
Well, and not just that, but even in the room that we're in, I mean, you can hear all the other babies being born around.
You know, the bells, they,
You
you know,
know,
they always
and
do
so
like a tone for every baby. And you're like,
Oh
that's one
no.
thing that sticks out is just, we are going through this horrible thing. And I remember just being in shock. Like, we're just, is this really happening? I mean, we never ever would have thought that that would have ever happened. I mean, I had
Yeah.
had healthy pregnancies with my boys and
so we held Edie as long as we could.
yeah,
And they have a ice bed
it's like a
pretty much,
cooling.
and you can put it over in the corner, but we elected not to do that. We wanted to hold her all day long. Like,
Yeah.
we held her in bed, we cuddled her, we coddled her, we dressed her, we did everything we could to maybe find that little bit of closure, because what we didn't want was that, you don't want to, like, hey, we should have done that, we should have did this, or and we spent every waking moment with her until we were told that we could not
Yeah,
have her
that we had
anymore.
to leave.
And we carried her out of the hospital to
The hearse.
to the hearse. And, like, another, gut wrenching thing of the day is, yeah, at the beginning of the day you lost your child, and at the end of the day you have to hand it over and never hold her again, right?
Yeah.
And, like, um they and they have to do it because it's hospital procedures, but, like, huh? Oh, I know, but, like, you're kind of, like, guided with,
Yeah.
like, security to make sure you don't, obviously
Run away.
do
So,
something irradical. Yeah.
how do you? I mean, we've never gone through this. Most of the people, this is not something you expect. It's your biggest fear. I mean, like, when every time you're pregnant, that's your absolute biggest fear.
Yeah.
And 99% of the pregnancies go well, and then one of them doesn't. And then, how do you find? I mean, how do you find God in this? Where do you find peace? How do you find, like, what's the story?
So,
I
I
mean,
mean, we've
how do you make it? Because,
always,
like, most parents would not be
I
able to
think I
make it
would
through that.
shut down. I mean, I just
yeah,
don't know how I could be sitting here right now talking about this with you.
Yeah.
It's
well,
you're amazing to me right now.
Thank you.
thank you. Well, so
There's a
we've
lot of
always,
hatred, right?
I mean, there was a lot of anger.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, ultimately, like, we've always had our faith, but until, we kind of reached out and got connected with Jason Holt, and they kind of guided us through the funeral.
The first time I
Yeah.
ever met Jason, and we had talked to him a couple times on the phone. The first time I met him was at Edie's funeral.
Yeah.
So Jason gave,
Wow.
you know,
Oh wow.
yeah. So Jason came up, and he came in the room, and I remember it. I gave him the biggest hug,
Yeah.
like, I could ever, because I never felt so thankful for somebody that I never met,
Yeah.
that I never really been involved in IndyCar ministry. I didn't even know anything about IFFL. Um, you know, and it was just like this outpouring support of IndyCar ministry, and, like, what can we do for you? And, like,
Mhm.
and so is Brittany. We're not one for, like, handouts, right? We don't,
Right.
Hmm.
we're grinding type of people. We just want to do it on our own, and we'll fight our way through, and we'll figure it out. But, like, the outpouring support through just, the guys, my coworkers, IndyCar ministry, IFFL, people we don't even know. And so when I got to meet Jason and Jason did that, I felt like I was forever indebted to Jason, because, he took the time out to come up to do a stillborn, funeral. And it's probably, I think it was nothing he's never done before. And I can't even
Mm.
imagine how hard that was for him to do that, you know,
Mhm.
and we have ever since bonded with Jason ever since, because he's just been an integral part of that support. And then we did weekly FaceTimes, like, hey, he would do check-in, like, hey, how are you doing? Like, what can we
That's
do
awesome.
for you? Like, are you guys, how could we help you, spiritually? And, we like Brittany was going to say, is that we had faith before, and we knew and we believed, but, every we all say we all have a plan, right? And little did we know that our child is going to be taken away, and that we didn't think that would be a part of our plan. But I'm not saying we said it every day, but, like, we believed that that was part of the plan. As much as it wasn't great, we
Hmm.
had to entrust that that was our plan and that was supposed to happen. I guess, I don't know. We might not ever really know, right? So, but,
Well, but
Jason,
thanks to our faith, we know that you will see your child again. We do
yeah,
Yeah.
know that this life on earth is just so temporary, and just
And that's that's what did get me through. I mean, because I knew that one day I will see them again in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that with getting with Jason, like going back to how we got into our faith with this situation, is that Jason hooked us up with Connection Point in Brownsburg, and we did a grief share group with them.
Great.
Then we started going to church with them, or going to church there, and became part of the church and became part of that community. So, I did a couple women's study. We did a grief share. And I started reading the Bible, and I was, growing my faith. And then Richie was too. He started to, do the men's Bible, or what was it, the men's study.
Well, we do the Andretti every Tuesday. We have the Bible study at work in a
Mm-hmm.
conference room, and just going to devotion and on Sundays at the track,
Yeah.
and um, just staying relevant and reading, and
But that wasn't the worst. That wasn't the worst. So
What
eight
do you?
months after we lost we lost our 17-year-old in a car accident.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
so you want to talk about
8 months
everything
later.
being 8 months.
yeah,
8 months after we lost CD, we lost Jackson.
Oh
And
wow.
I mean, he was my firstborn. He was my baby boy. So
And
that
where
was
was Jackson? Was
dark.
that here locally?
He was leaving the Tipton tractor pull.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he
yeah.
was in a car accident with his cousin.
It
They
was a head-on collision. They labeled it as a mere accident. So the other, his cousin, you know, he survived, but he was beat up pretty bad. The other driver was beat up pretty bad as well. But Jackson was the lone recipient that didn't survive. So
So I honestly have to believe that my faith was supposed to increase prior to losing Jackson, because I don't think that if it would have, there's no way I would have survived
Yeah.
losing Jackson.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I didn't have my faith being so strong and me believing what I'm believing, there's no way I would have made it through.
Hmm.
And how long were you married at this time when you lost
A
Jackson?
year and a half.
A
A year and a
year and a
half.
half. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I
Wow.
mean, we'd been together
well, it was 2 years.
almost 2 years.
Yeah.
We had been together 8 years, married 2 years, and we went through that.
What an interesting thought though that you went through that and you built yourself up.
Well, you
Uh,
could be so bitter about it. People could be so bitter about
mm,
these awful things that, happen in this broken world. But like, I can't live like that. I can't live, being angry every single day. I mean, don't get me
mhm.
wrong. There's days that I'm extremely upset, and there's days that, I want to yell and scream and, ask God why.
And
But I know,
Yep.
and one thing I had told Brittany through like the beginning when we lost Edie is like what I didn't want us to do was that to be so filled with rage and anger that life just passes you by, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Right.
you could get so stuck in your dark moments, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh my god, 3 years of my life just
Right.
where what did I do? Like I was just so mad. So like I think we both have done a really good job of just like keeping each other in positive light, and like obviously Brittany has way more days that
And the rest of your family too. I mean, your other.
yeah,
oh, and
yeah.
You know,
yeah, I mean,
because
our
you've
whole
still
thing.
got kids. You still got kids that you got to feed. You still got kids you got
Well,
to get to
Well,
their,
and the image of Edie
that's
greeting
so hard for a
Jackson in heaven,
mom.
the fact that
well,
he had a
and
sister
that's
greeting him is
Yeah.
unbelievable too.
Yeah.
no, and honestly, like you say that, but like I think about that every single day.
Yeah, we do think that they're together playing. He's riding his dirt bike. He's showing her how to fish. Like, we think about that all the time. It's
Oh
like
no,
a very high priority. Yeah,
it's really
yeah,
ironic though that the first time I met you, Brittany, and really Richie. I mean, I see you in the paddock and wave and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff, but I had a friend that recently passed away that you knew because of Danny was my best friend from high school, and he was with Pam and had Pam's pit stop, and you worked there. A lot of us buy a lot of our alcohol there for hospitality and whatnot during the month of May and through the season. And it really meant a lot to me that you went to go see him or go to the funeral and let Pam know. And a lot of the Speedway police were there and different things of that nature. But it was funny because that's when we connected. I did not know your story. But
Yeah.
when I went to visit Danny in the hospital and we got to pray over him, I had this real. I mean, he loved his dad more than anybody else, and But when I prayed for him, I had this feeling that because he hadn't passed yet, he was on, life support basically. But I had this real peace that he saw his dad, and once he saw his dad, he wasn't coming back. And the fact
Yeah.
that and you read about people who have passed and come back and tell stories, and one of our friends that's actually involved in the series, he flatlined twice, and he shared with me kind of what he experienced after that. And heaven is real. You don't have to go watch a movie to see
Yes.
it, but the simple fact that he had a sister waiting there to greet him and to build a
Yeah.
relationship and say
Wow.
hi, and this life on earth is so brief. And so that's what's, I mean, I think it's interesting that you guys are sharing this. One thing is, the salvation story is real. When we go and hear Jason or whoever sharing the devotions, or we go to church, we hear different things, and people say talk about heaven is real, and Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and there's no way to the Father except through me. And that when you accept that and you believe that and you place your faith there, that is the promise that we will see
Yeah.
our fathers and our mothers who may have passed before us, and our kids and our sisters and all these
Yeah.
different things. So I'm amazed that you take hope from that. I respect that. I also just
Yeah.
encouraging you to that. But that is a beautiful image to know they're not alone. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, you have to live life here on earth, and you have to love each other and bring others to the kingdom. So
And
how do you move on
so,
from that? I mean,
so
tell me your other kids.
statistically, we should be divorced.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, our therapist is like, you guys should not be married. Like, after everything you've been through, there's no way. So, but I know every day we encourage each other, and there's days that I'm really, really not having a great day. And he is my number one cheerleader, telling me, we got this, you got to get up, we got to keep moving,
That's
and
great.
then days that he has bad, I'm trying to cheer him on. I mean, it's goes in phases. It seems like my grief does hit very hard when he's gone,
Hmm.
because he's not here to preoccupy me.
Hmm.
So I get in my head a little bit, but he has always been my strongest, and that's what I tell everyone. They're like, how do you get through it? I'm like, my
That's great.
husband and God, because that's literally the only thing that gets me through the day is, him, his encouragement, and then knowing that I'll see the kids again.
Well, I
Wow.
think just the practical side of this, and sorry to get practical, but if somebody's watching this and you are having a hard time, it may not be as devastating as what Richie and Brittany have gone through, but you sought counseling. You sought people to. You could have lived in a shell, but it's hard to walk out the door and go join a grief group. To be with other
Oh, it
parents who've
is. Yeah.
also experienced that. It's hard to get out of bed and just move on. But the fact that you opened yourself up to therapy, because a lot of people don't just going to get mental health and counseling is not something that they want to do. But my wife and I wouldn't be married here today if we hadn't gone through it. And you
And we
guys,
wouldn't, and honestly, I don't think our daughter would be here.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
We struggled with her at 15. It was terrible.
yeah, that's a whole nother episode, because we almost lost our daughter. She, tried to end her life, and we went through the whole, St. Vincent saved our kid. She did the inpatient, the outpatient,
Yeah.
and mental health. And it's funny because here you talk about going through one horrible time to prepare you for something else. We went through this with my daughter, and she got healed her. She was, she made it through. She's a wonderful 22-year-old, now. But, what was it, 2 years later? Right after my daughter went through that and became well, my best friend, another best friend from high school, went through the same thing, tried to end his life, thought everything was over with. But it was one of those things where you sat there and said, okay, in the back of your mind, you're like, I've done this before. We can go through this
Mm-hmm.
again. You don't want to go through that again, but you go down that path, and you've seen God move. And I thank you for sharing your story, because, I don't know who needs to hear it, but somebody hopefully will listening to this will just take encouragement that you've made it. You can go, you can draw yourself closer to God. There's peace that only can come from Him. And then, the two of you guys and your marriage and just being able to hold each other up, that's a beautiful, beautiful example too for for the rest of your family and extended family and
Yeah.
friends to see. So, but you're a member of a club that nobody wants to be a member of,
That's
Oh,
true.
100%, 100%.
And that's where kind of like I think Brittany gets a lot of joy too, a little bit, kind of uplifts her. And I tell Jason this all the time, is that like Brittany's part of the IndyCar care team,
Yeah.
and so when other
Families.
families go through struggles and their husbands are away and something's happened at home. Brittany and
Gina.
Gina are together working behind the scenes to, provide a meal or a fuel card or, trying to help as much as they can here back in the, and it really brings light to her and, to be able to be purposeful
And
and,
it does
kind
make
of
me
to
feel
share
like
her story and,
gives me a purpose.
yeah.
Well, so so if somebody is listening to this podcast or, you know, and they're struggling, they're having a hard time, husband's on the road, wife's on the road, whatever that may be, they're at home, or either it may be the person who's actually traveling, but they can reach out to, is it care@indycarministry.org?
Yes, and it's yeah, and there's an email address on there and it emails us and then we reply back very quickly. So
That's great. So, for whatever you're going through, that's just keep that in the back. Write it on your refrigerator, put it in your mirror, do something. But if you're part of the IndyCar community, just, realize there's a resource out there and some caring people like Brittany who want to, extend. You've been through it. A little side note. It's funny. My mom was an 8-year-old when Pearl Harbor was bombed, and she ran to the Catholic Church when everything was kind of coming down, and she suffered abuse and all kinds of bad things. And I remember being a kid and to see her give so much. She always gave more of herself than, I mean, she was just like this person, just gave and gave and gave and gave. And somebody once told me the people who've been hurt the deepest and the hardest are the ones who have the highest capacity to give love and to give it back. And so, I see that with you guys and the fact that you can, you can hold somebody when they're crying because you've been there. You can, you know what it's like when you need something. We have a rule at our house too that everything bad happens when your husband's on the road. Like
100%.
the water heater goes out. When Richie's home, if the water pipe breaks, it's like a 3 on the Richter scale. But if he's gone, it's a 12.
Yeah.
So you understand that. Well, so talk about. I mean, now that thanks for sharing that story. It's just such an amazing journey. That you shared, but talk about like the day to day now. Like when you're on the road, Richie, how often are you guys talking to each other? How are you communicating? How do you stay present in Brittany's life and everything that's going on back home when you're traveling on the road? Because you have a big
Yeah.
job, and hospitality starts at 4 a.m. and goes until every guest is gone.
Yeah. So we try to stay very well connected, right? Because sometimes I can usually tell when I'm leaving how that weekend's going to be. Never ever has she ever been happy for me to leave, but yeah, I can normally tell how the weekend's going to be, and so when I sense that, I try to do a really good job of over communicating. Like I check in more often than what I should, um,
Mm-hmm.
or I do. But I also try to balance it, like because I'm away working and I get pulled in 4, 5, 6, 7 different directions, and you got to make decisions on the fly. And so sometimes I fail at replying back sometimes, but I do my best. When I get back to the hotel room, I'm always FaceTiming.
Yeah.
So thank God for technology. Yeah, we FaceTime a lot. Now with Everly now, she, I try to stay somewhat relevant for her, right? So she could see me and like, hey, my dad just didn't leave us, or
Yeah.
um,
Technology is a great gift, especially when you can see your kids and wave at them and everything. So
I mean, I've taken his phone, or I've taken my phone and done a FaceTime at a program or a play or
School play,
something,
holding it up,
just either holding it up or at least where he can hear the one line that they might have, so that the
Yeah.
kids can say, Dad heard me say it, and we couldn't do that years ago. So
right.
it's great that we are putting it to use,
Well, talk about. I mean, Brittany, you said you like to go to as many races as you can. Is
Yeah.
that something? Pack everybody up and go separate. I mean, because the family
No,
thing
we
too is it's hard. It's hard when we're trying to please our clients and everything else, and then we also have our family there, and it's kind of balancing the two as well.
yeah. Yeah, no, we actually all typically go together. We travel together. We camp a lot at a lot of the races that we can, the close ones. And so we take our RV with us. Um, no, the kids love to go. We make it just a trip. Just, it's part of our life. It's part of our family. And, we go to the track and we love it. We have lots of friends there and
Hmm.
we're always busy bouncing around. I think I'm more active and away from him, not bothering him as much when I'm at the track because I'm out doing my own thing with my friends. So, but no, we love going to the races. We typically go together when he has to leave. So
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I'm pretty sure when the kids look back, they're like, "Man, it was really cool, to go to all these races and experience all these things." Being in hospitality, you kind of get behind the scenes, and like you get preferential treatment, and I try to be careful with that a little bit because funny story is one time I took her to a NASCAR race. We went to Talladega, and I was like, "You need to go to a real race and just be a real fan and experience it without hospitality." And we went to
You didn't like
Talladega.
that?
well,
So we camped out in a tent, and then we walked to the track,
Oh,
and
no golf cart.
we
Yeah,
yep, no
golf
golf
cart.
cart, yep. And we got some food, and we sat by the fence, and I'd be damned,
we're drinking.
somebody drove by on a golf cart and was like, "Richie," and I'm like, ah. They're like, "Hey, let me get you some VIP passes, get in the infield." And she's like, "Yes, we're going."
We do get
I don't have a
spoiled.
problem with the camping in the roughneck. I mean, we're fine with that. I was just like used to, having good seats or being able to sit somewhere else to watch the race. And I was sitting in the stands with everyone else. So, and then we ended up getting.
Well, we got on top of a tour bus and turned forward.
Yeah.
It was like,
So it was a great experience. I loved Talladega.
I always
Sorry about that. We had just a little bit of a glitch. So you enjoy the golf cart life and the VIP passes a little more than being a regular fan sleeping in a tent with nothing and your own 2 feet.
Well, who doesn't?
Well, it's funny because my kids have learned that they are allowed to go on a golf cart as long as my client's not there. So
we get all the stuff if the client's
yeah, the
not
client
there.
they get it like
We live
so
it up.
yeah, so they live it up. They get there early in the morning so I can drive them where they want to go. And as soon as the client gets there, I don't see them for the rest of the day. And then as soon as the client's gone,
We show back up.
they show back up and we get to have whatever is left over for food and drinks and that kind of fun stuff. So it is a great way to raise your kids, and I think that's a great lesson too. That it's fun for you to be connected with other people at the track who also have husbands or wives that are working. And
Our son told his to-be wife then, they're married now, but he said at her first Indy race, he said, "I don't know if you should go with us the very first time that you go because you might be spoiled. You'll never look at it the same again if you don't go with us." Like he was black. He was trying to say, this is great. So her first year, she finished the race and she had the best time. She was just starstruck and everything was great. And she just said, "It is good to be a steward."
yeah,
Yeah, those VIP passes are pretty nice.
that they are. Well,
because after being working for Andretti Global for so long, like people idolize Mario and Michael, but like to me, I idolize them too, but on a different level. Like I work for them, but like I got to rub elbows with them and talk to them and just treat them like normal people. So it's kind of hard for me to be like people, like want to get his autograph, talk to him, or tell them a story about when they were at the track in 1969.
Yeah.
so let's talk about some takeaways here. You guys have been on the road for for quite some time. You know a lot of the other couples within Andretti and also just others that have been involved in through the IndyCar Ministry. What are some takeaways and ways you can encourage them of how to, are there some simple things that they should institute, just to kind of survive being apart, while the
Sometimes
season's
it
going on?
is just survival mode, and what
Yeah.
tips do you have, when you guys are separated? Because I know it's not just me that, is having a hard time. I think you miss us.
I do miss you. Oh, I do miss you. And you
You
think
know.
everybody always hears, "Oh, it's great. You're traveling to Laguna Seca. Wow, how exciting to go to Monterey." And you just sit there and go, "It means I'm 4 days away from the house."
And you never leave the track. You're just, it's work, it's
Yeah.
not play.
So
It's a fun job, but it's not.
So what are
play.
some of the best family tips?
So I would say for us, like I try to do everything I can before I leave to set them up so maybe the 3 or 4 days is less burdensome on like mowing the grass and other things and making sure she's got groceries or any outstanding things that she might need while I'm gone. Now, obviously, we can't prevent water heaters, air conditioners,
Right.
blah blah blah. Communication on the road for us is a very big key thing. Um, Validating each other's feelings while we're on the road.
That's a big
Her
one.
being here,
Yeah.
yeah, her being here, me being 2,000 miles away, and her anxiety when I go to dinner, but she likes to label it as going out. And I'm like, yes, I have to go out to dinner. I have to go eat something.
You
So
know, as especially a mom with a 14-month-old, I don't know the last time I went out and had a quiet meal, which I get it. He's working and he's going to go to dinner, but uh, he does get to go and eat a full meal by
and I
himself.
and I get to sleep in a bed and air
So
conditioning.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a little bit of jealousy there. It's just like, oh, I wish I could just have like an hour to myself. Because we have a little bit of help at home, but not a lot.
Yeah.
We're older. I mean, I'll be 42 in January. Richie's 42, so our Everly was a surprise blessing, which obviously we know now that why she's
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yep.
So our parents are older, they're tired, they don't, they can't, it's hard for them to keep up with a 14-month-old baby that's in everything. So but no, I mean, communicating, he does validate my feelings a lot. He does, he acknowledges, how I'm feeling at home and that it's a lot and it's overwhelming. And especially, I'm not going to lie, like, my mental health is huge. So we have to work on that as a family. And I think we just all help each other out.
Yeah. And like when I come back, I try. It's a little bit harder now with Everly, but we would try to find time to either 30 or 40 minutes, just either start a fire and just sit by the fire and just kind of just have bonding time for that minute, or go to dinner, or but
Just some time to ourselves for
yeah.
a little
So
bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think putting yourself first is the most important thing to do. And to have a strong family, mom and dad have to be strong. So,
Yes.
That's a
I
great
think
one.
that we always have kind of been like, we need to be strong. So we need us time. We need to, recap and talk about what's been going on, what's new, what's bothering us, and that's what we've always tried to do is okay, we have to take time for ourselves.
yeah.
And that's important for, I think, to show your kids. I think that's a parenting tool, is that
Yeah.
they look at you and they have that model then for, because that's our goal, right? Is that we parent these
Mhm.
kids and then we parent them to be great adults, not just,
Yeah.
well, ours are staying home all the time, but I mean, not to be with us forever. We can't do it forever, and he had a different model than I had. And that was part of our problem when we were very young. But now I know that, our kids look at us and they have something substantial, It's not just being a good husband and a good wife, it's being a good parent to let them know
Yeah.
how much you love each other and how much putting each
Yeah.
other first, is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to say in 20 or 30 years when our kids are grown, I would like for them to say that's what the definition of love is, you two.
Yeah.
That's what that I think that's our ultimate goal is like we want to show with love and teach with love.
Yeah.
And so
And build them for prepare them for strong marriages one day.
yeah.
Well, I think that you can prepare them for strong marriages, but let me go ahead and give you a word of advice. They never leave the payroll. It's amazing. Like our oldest son is 29 now.
Yes, he
and
is.
married. They've been married for almost 4 years, and somehow he's still on my cell phone.
And she's
Bill.
still on her parents' cell phone.
Yeah.
So how they're built? That's like, come on.
It's like and I think they're on my Netflix account. All three of my kids are on my cell phone bill, and they never answer their phones. I'll call them, and instead I'll get a text back says, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "I want you to answer your phone." And they'll text back like, "What? But what do you need?" I'm like, "No, I want you to answer your phone." Like they won't talk to me on the phone; they just text back. But if for some reason my credit card doesn't go through on Netflix, I'm hearing from all three of them within about 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
it's like, "Hey, Dad, put your credit card in. I can't get it." But
Yeah.
anyway, I want to wrap this up and just kind of first off just say thank you guys for sharing your story. It's an incredible story of no parent wants to go through what you guys went through, and just like your counselor said, most marriages that go through the loss of a child don't survive, and especially when you guys have gone through it twice, and but on the other side, you do find you shared that you found strength and peace in the fact of knowing that they're together and knowing that you're going to see them again someday. And, and I love the fact that you could be laying in bed crying in a fetal position, but you've made a choice to stand up and to hold each other up is really a better, analogy, and being able to serve.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, Richie, you don't lose your man card for loving your wife the way that you do and being there. And no, I mean, that's like we're surrounded by men in the garage area and in the paddock area. And, everybody who's married goes through things. It, it may not be the loss of a child, but, there's nothing, you watch Victory Lane on Sunday. One of those crew members has probably got some crisis going on at home. And at the same time, they're getting wet with champagne and,
Yeah. It's
and
different kinds of hard.
it is, and this is a unique, and I think anybody in the paddock who hears your story should be encouraged. That we can make it forward. And the good thing is we got 5 more races to go, and then you got the off season, and we make the season. We make our seasons in the off season, but it's not easy getting there.
But what a great off season it is to have so much time at home, though. I mean, we love that time.
Yeah. Well, talk about. I mean, talk about what you guys do in the off season. I mean, how do you prepare? Because that is filling the tank. If you, I mean, we always say in the promotion business, you make your season in the off season, and it's the same thing with marriage. I mean, you've got to build those memories. You have to pour into each other during that time.
Yeah, I mean, we typically do like a fall vacation with the family. We're not doing one this year, but typically we do a fall vacation. Right now, we're in the middle of building a new home, so we are not doing much of anything else. But we just make time for each other. We go on dates. We, take that time, figure out. A lot of times, maybe we even we'll go out of town for like a night or two and just,
Gosh, we love
just
to
to
do
get away.
that. We
I
love
know,
to
just
go
to get
down
away.
the road to the hotel.
We're known
Yeah.
for just getting a hotel here in Indy. Like people give us a hard time because we'll vacation in Fishers or Noblesville. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's close enough if something happens,
Staycation.
a spur
we
of
do.
the moment thing.
it's worth $150 to go stay. And we all have hotel points. And we all have ways of getting the best discount possible. But calling over and spending $150 for a hotel room so we can actually have a real date night and get away from the kids is a nice thing.
I know.
And
Even
still be
if-
We're
close,
actually
and
going
still be
to,
close enough.
Chris Stapleton next week. That's our anniversary gift.
Yeah.
We're going to
I
go
wanted to go
camp.
to that.
Yeah, we're actually tailgating and taking our camper and staying the night, and
That's
it's our first night away from Everly.
Yeah,
in
it is.
14 months.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for sharing your story. If you don't mind, I'd love to just close with prayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
And do that. Pray for you guys. I'll open. Do one of you guys want to pray with us? Want to close me out? Richie, do you feel comfortable praying? or no?
We're beginners. So.
Okay. Well, then don't worry about it. Let me just pray real quick, and I'll pray for you guys.
Yeah, no.
All right. Lord, we just thank you for this time. We thank you for just spending an hour with Richie and Britney and just hearing their story. God, thank you for loving them. Thank you for surrounding them with people when they were going through the darkest hours and the darkest times, that you put people around them. And they held on to your promises and your truth. And now as they continue to walk down this path, Lord, we thank you for your promises. And I thank you that Brittany has the strength to go and love on other people. I pray that you just equip them as she's helping people through the IndyCar Ministry. Just give her the words to say, and give her and everybody else in the ministry who's part of this care ministry, that just give them the the ability to an empathy, power of empathy and just understanding and continue, Lord, I just thank you for their compassion over other couples and when people are going through hard times. Now, Lord, I just pray for anybody who's listening to this podcast tonight that if they're married to somebody who's traveling with the IndyCar Series or they're traveling with the IndyCar Series, just let them know that you are present. Let them know that you are with them. Let them know that they're not alone in all this. And I thank you, Lord. I'm just going to pray quickly for everybody who volunteers with IndyCar Ministry, Lord. I thank you for Jason and Kelly and just everybody who's involved, God, whether it's the devotions, Father Jeff, who always gets a priest to do the Catholic Mass during the race weekends, Lord. I just thank you for everybody who's part of IndyCar Ministry, Lord. I pray that you give them strength to continue. I pray for safety over our paddock, Lord. I thank you that this past race in Iowa, there were a few drivers that got hurt, Lord, and a truck fire with the Juncos Hollinger guys on their way back. I just thank you that those are things that can be healed, and those are things that can be fixed. We pray for just safety as people travel this next week to Toronto. Lord, have your hand upon our paddock. Draw people close. Don't let anybody be alone. Lord, let us be your hands and your feet, and go and love on those in the paddock. We ask all this in your name. We thank you for this time and pray that you continue to just bless Richie and Britney, and thank you for their story. Amen, God.
Amen.
We're all beginners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. I certainly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend up in Toronto.
Yeah. Thanks for
Thank
having
you so
us.
much. It was
Yeah.
very nice to meet you guys.
It was nice to meet you too.
It's great to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. We'll see you.